Tuesdays and Fridays. I'll still be gathering all the summary of the week over the weekend. But the good thing is, we actually, updating you about current events or current affairs on a daily basis. Good morning. My name is Dr. Morton. Welcome back into the studio after a better bit of a break. Darling, I'm talking about. Just stay with us, trying to get you the update about things happening around the world. I mean, you must have heard of the Ukraine, what's going on. We'll be delving much into Africa, look at very sensitive issues, and then finally get back to Ghana or Africa. Come and make me whole. Good morning. 'Cause I'm feeling your love everywhere I go. Please, oh, darling, feeling your love everywhere I go. I feel like dying, darling. I'm talking about. It's all about love. I don't know what to do, don't know what to say, 'cause I'm feeling so bad. Darling, I'll miss you. Come and make me whole, 'cause I'm feeling your love everywhere I go. Please, oh, darling, feeling your love everywhere I go. Come on now, come on now, come on, baby. I'm feeling your love everywhere I go. Oh, darling, please, baby, I'm feeling your love everywhere I go. Come on now, come on now, come on, baby, I'm feeling your love everywhere I go. Oh, darling, please, baby. Why am I 20? I jam me down for ya dream. Ultimately, and I said, Jana, I am shaking so. Me me down for it, idea. This out my phone, never to change. Me bar riding by yes, Babu, I are to see ya. Ah. Oh, darling, it's so wild. Oh, this on my phone, never to change. Ah, oh, darling, it's so wild. Oh, this on my phone, never to change. Benny Dasu, Nina, New. Eye ambassador na mi do na eba no say no do pay na mi wedi ya edruboni na mi numwana anase mi kwasha konfo se obi do wa huwana na ini wukikano na mi tio Arira chichire mi do unimse if you're only power Ababa we pengi mo Yeinanwa edi fonksio no bana seyo Sophie na se usio no shebudia na nyemra
mete or dancing. And I'm also not mete or dancing. Nasafi enese ekimia afena upo no way. Ode baya aji wonwa ye friend no pai wo. Se mafumu wa kachemio na mimpa ucha nenye se yeja yo. Why? Arira chichire mi do unimse if you only power. Ababa we eyi mo eyi nanwa edikosio mo pa na se o Sophie se no sheguya denye kwa eyi mi mo si mi wa botre ya meyo piano fameso. And I'm Benus na ello. Na fei ande. Mama tafwenya miyo.
Okay. Now is almost half 8. You're live on GN Radio. Now, what is going on in Ukraine, for example? You know, yesterday I was reading a note or a message somebody told me that Ukraine, Putin is getting angry over the fact that Ghanaians are getting involved in what is going on in Ukraine. My question is, apart from UK and other great countries that seems to be very worried about the Ukraine of country as a whole, what has that got to do with Ghana, a tiny country like that? But hey, it's a concern of all. I'm going to get Chairman Yosin very soon to update us about his view over the entire what's going on in the world.
Do you wear banana big? I came here no through your teeth. So somebody else, somebody open me there, come back, bass and primo. Mammy, couldn't be I'm me new beko. New beko. Yeah, me new beko. That day meeting you. Run your matine. Me no beko. Me no beko. I've done 9 months some away. John Yamin Kwana winning. On him, then 2 more was saying, hey, I won't need it up your god that baby bazaar. Miss Medicia can't answer. Sanya Tibiano, and in so Yamin Saway worry. A day, miss you, Bernie, miss you. And the power now. Brokosia, yeah, be inside that. Thanks to the show, Namisa. Ajimaya boy, and me no beko. Okay, no beko. Yeah, me no beko. Yeah, me no beko. Mountain, me no beko. Me no beko. Me no beko. Me no beko. So last Friday we actually deliberated on
the issues about the current development in Ghana, especially concerning the e-levy issues, which seems to be coming to an end very soon. Another thing was, the fact that the traveling expenses which the president gets involved is also draining the country's purse a lot. But today, I think the issue of the e-levy has actually come down. We're delving much into new issues, but I'm going to start off with Chairman Yosin, who's going to tell us about, what is happening in Ukraine, his view over it, and then we'll come back to what we have a new view. Then we can take it from there. And so do stay with us, and then I'll come back to you very soon. Okay, let me go straight to Chairman Yosin, and then Chairman, good morning. Hello, Chairman. Good morning, Chairman.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you live and clear.
Great.
I mean, the current development that seems to be bothering almost all the world is, the latest negative developments that seems to be affecting Ukraine as a country. Lately, we've understand that almost from Poland, America, EU, and all these neighboring countries have welcomed the Ukraine citizenship to the country as a result of what is actually going on. You want to give us the general overview of your thoughts over the entire what's going on?
Oh, thank you very much.
You want to raise your voice a little bit, please?
Yeah. Good morning, and thank you so much, Dr. Morton, for inviting my views on the situation in Ukraine at the moment. Ghanaians are in that country, Ukraine. Africans are there, West Indians are there, and Indians are there, all because of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and his CPP government in the early 1960s. Because of his non-alignment policy of Ghana, Nkrumah was able to reach the Eastern Bloc, especially the Soviet Union, Eastern Germany, Poland, Hungary, Romania, and all the Eastern Bloc countries. Nkrumah went there to train Ghanaians. So if anybody who is aware, I will not be surprised if most Ghanaians are not aware, because our history books that we use to train the students are just half-truth. Half-truth, which is very bad history. The historians of Ghana who wrote books for Ghanaian students and to study, they have done us bad.
What do you mean half truth?
Because the Hurricane we are talking about.
Chairman, can you hear me?
Sorry.
What do you mean half truth? If you say half truth, what do you mean?
Half truth, because yes, thank you, because they have not given us the full and complete and honest story of Nkrumah and his administration.
Oh, okay.
You see, half truth, because most Ghanaians, I challenge everybody who is listening now. How many of them are aware that Ghanaians went to Ukraine because of Nkrumah?
Oh, okay.
People who want to even shut their ears, they don't even want to know.
Right.
Because they were the same people who say Nkrumah is going to Eastern Bloc, communism, and excuse me, a whole lot of nonsense. And MPP said, from Buzia to JB Dangwa to Obecha Bilam to whatnots and whatnots of them. That's what they were thinking. Yet, when Nkrumah took Ghanaians to the Eastern Blocs, it was not just CPP boys and girls.
Okay.
It was all Ghanaians. You see, Dr. Morton, that's the saddest thing about it. But see, if we claim to be Christians or to believe in God, we must say the truth. But we don't say the truth, and we think we serve God, but we don't serve God. Although would say Master American, no can occur. Nkrumah no crow. Was Nkrumah a communist, and all a lot of nonsense. Yet MPP from PO 6 years say. I mean, what I'm saying is that Kwame Nkrumah was the first to step foot in that part of the world. Ukraine. Marcus Amunia Osias, he was trained as a medical doctor in Kharkov University, Ukraine. Marcus Amunia as a medical doctor.
But it looks like Ukraine has quite a number of large number of people from Africa. And then it's sad how I was watching the news. Then one student was commenting that
you could even see a Ghanaian student there.
Yeah, but
a Nigerian student was just interviewed.
Yeah,
at
but
Poland border.
Yeah, but I'm wondering how that has got to do with the e-levy, as we talked about a few days ago.
Let me tell you something. We want a sensible government of Ghana to take and rent a jet, take it to Ukraine, and bring out the Ghanaian students there. Otherwise, the government must fail by the grace of God. By the power and might of God, the MPP administration must fail. If they are not, Ekufado is not able to use his jet to go to Poland to bring Africans there, especially Ghanaians, my goodness me, God will not even forgive him.
Oh dear.
Presbyterian, strong Presbyterian, but I tell you, I can even condemn. Ghana who someone can say you don't condemn. You have to condemn if you have to condemn. You have to judge if you have to judge. This is not against the powers of God.
No.
You have to judge. I mean,
yeah, but Chairman, what's happening to Putin? Why do you think he seems to be the main reason for these escalation? Because I know that
no, it's not the reason for escalation. They've got their problem with Russia. That is fine. Do you understand?
Yeah, but I mean, the world is looking at it, to make sure the peace that we all need in that part of the world,
yeah, I was coming to that. But in the meantime, if I was the president of Ghana, if my party was in government, we will go there straight away, bring our people out of danger first, because before we even start to talk about peace. But peace, is just...
Oh, if it's you do the same.
It does not come to you directly.
I say if you do the same. Did you say if it's you, you'll do the same?
Repeat that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
What I'm saying is, are you saying if it's you, you will do the same? Is that what I heard you say?
No, if
you are Putin, if you're Putin.
It was my party in government.
Right.
We would go there straight away to bring our people out. Just as a Kufadu can take a jet and travel everywhere, why don't you take a jet to go and bring your own Ghanaians in a dangerous place, but because they are there on scholarships and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Go and pull them out before they get killed. We don't want to. We don't want to hold funerals all over Ghana because the Russians bombed Ukraine.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
We have to. The government must do that. Otherwise, the government must fail. And I've repeated that. In the name of God, not in the name of Jujuma. In the name of God, the MPP government must fail if they do not take a jet there. As Mr. Akufo-Addo can take a jet for even Sawa Bueni to sit in. No. This time it must not be Sawa Bueni. It must be Ghanaian students. Both Ghanaian students. Uncle for one umbrella. Conquer for one umbrella. Them jet now, we share several £1,000 an hour. No. Offer, that would be the best way to use that jet, because Ghana, we don't need a jet. Now do not look from jet in your airport in your, I don't know, there will be Sidu Kakre, if he jet not the travel. There's no chrome cry, a bus cry in the chrome. Ghana cry in bus or as you have bus in the United Kingdom, there's no bus service in Ghana.
All right,
No
Chairman.
bus service.
And so, with the issue about what is going on in Ghana, we've been talking about this for quite some time, especially Okudzeto Blakwa has been outlining the cost, involved with all these travel and all that. Does the president appear to you like somebody who doesn't care about what people say? Or if you look at the massive demonstration that went on not too long ago, well, if he decides to yield to it, not to do things that we consider not to be acceptable, that's fair enough. But on a few occasions, seen people, reason over some of his decisions, and he keeps doing on what he's doing.
Yes, I'm surprised. I don't know.
Have you realized that?
Know.
Have you observed that?
No, I do not know if he has got a personal condition. Do you understand? I do not know if he's a listening president or a listening leader of a government. Feelings, I know you feelings.
Okay, so I've got a message from Felix. Menya Felix message me.
Is it what is going on?
Can you hear me, Chairman?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I've got a message from Felix who says, can you hear me too? Hello, Chairman, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, for me, I can hear you.
Okay, so Felix has got a message. He said the world is not looking at it that way. It is the West that is looking at it. Okay, let me take it again. He said, please, the world is not looking at it that way. It is the West that is looking at it that way. And the allies with Putin as the problem. He perceives NATO as a threat right next door to Russia border. And he has the military means to fight back. That is all there is. Sad, but that is what is at stake. Good morning. That is from Felix. And so he doesn't see, the NATO and all that being very justice to him. So then it takes the bull by horn. And that day, he decided to take the law into his own hands. Is that how you see it too?
Oh, no. I see it differently. I would say good morning to Felix. And I hope to God he will also listen to
okay, let's put your views down and see if he's listening to, he would agree with you.
I hope to God he's listening. And in the end, I want his final decision because I respect him.
Yeah, but at least you don't see any reason why Putin should take such initiative of, starting some sort of a war.
No, I know what Putin is doing, why President Putin is doing what he's doing. I know that. Ghanaians went to the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, the Soviet Union, to study. Africans went there, I told you. Okay, the third world, we want to have free education there instead of UK. Right. They helped us, and God bless them in the Soviet Union. And Mr. Putin, when the Soviet Union fell in early 1990s, Putin, God knows, I don't know where he was. But now that he's in power, he wants to recreate USSR. That's why Mr. Putin wants to recreate the old Soviet Union, because the old Soviet Union had power, was a world power that against Americans in those days. So he wants to go back to history and recreate USSR. That's why he's trying to take over, God knows, Ukraine. And from Ukraine, he's not going to finish. He's going to go to all other former USSR republics, that to put them together. He wants to go back to USSR. I mean, this is how far my mind is opened to. And I'm telling you the truth. And it makes logical sense, because we have got the United States of America. It has never been broken. And why break down United USSR? USSR was equivalent to USA. USA still is USA, United States of America. And even we now got United States of Europe as well, EU. They are also united. How about USSR? They are broken down. So this man wants to bring them back into the fold. But the way he's going about it makes him a very stupid leader. And I'm telling you the truth. Because if he's a good leader, he should convince the whole former USSR, the republics. It will make sense. If it makes sense, the USSR will come back. This is what Americans fear to say. This is what British fear to say. But this is what I'm not scared to say. I'm telling you, that's the truth. The people who don't know, not doing history, who don't think far, who didn't understand it. But today, I hope after people listening to me, they will understand why Mr. Putin wants to put in his ideas to recreate USSR. Simple as that.
Okay.
As simple as that. USSR was an equivalent to the United States of America. Right now, Russia alone has no power.
Yeah.
You want to get back into the fold of USSR. No, that's wrong. USSR, America was wrong. No, what's wrong American for? If you are fighting with somebody and the person is strong, you are also strong, you respect him, and they respect it. Right now, nobody respects Russia because it's on its own.
Yeah.
At first, Russia was together in a USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Unfortunately, my sister-in-law is from Ukraine. My brother married one of them. My brother married in Ukraine. Kharkov University as a medical doctor.
Okay.
And he qualified in 1971.
You see, my concern is this. So far, we've never seen Ghana showing any concern over it. Not to my knowledge, or not as far as I know.
Yeah, because we are a weak country. Come on, we are weak. We are not relevant. Ghana is not relevant.
No. But the thing is, we can choose.
We're going to think about it.
Hello, can you hear me?
People say Ghanaians are stupid.
Can you hear me? Chairman, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, we've never seen the government showing concern about its citizens. Like we heard of, Nigeria being concerned to get its people from Ukraine, especially the students. So far, we don't see Ghana doing anything about it. Why?
Yeah, because we haven't got any government that thinks. Even the ministers, God knows if they know what I'm talking about. The minister supporting Akufo-Addo is not on his own. He's got people around the ministers. God knows if they have that knowledge which I have about USSR or Ukraine. It's a big one. There's so many young people trained there. And I'm telling you, right now, go there. Today's days, Nkrumah set the ball rolling into Soviet Union. That's why Ghanaians go every time, which is good. Come on, start you be a person credit. And if you do that, we will be a cursed nation. The man who put foot in the Soviet Union is Kwame Nkrumah. Today, MPP they're going there. I'm seeing something for people who don't understand the English language to understand. Nkrumah no call her first. Nkrumah no call for the whole Africa. Kwame Nkrumah is the only one who won there. That's why I keep saying it's a Papani story. Today, Jesus Christ in the story.
Yeah, but Chairman, the way you talk about the way you talk very fondly about Nkrumah, you still got people who talks very.
Nkrumah in Ukraine, Kwame Nkrumah and Ghana will never know
Yeah.
what is Ukraine? And I'm because my sister-in-law comes from there because my brother a Ghanaian went to study there and married one of them. Do you understand? And see, I'm saying the truth, and I hope to God people won't think I'm being funny at all. I'm so sad that Ghana government hasn't got a common sense to go and bring Ghanaians there from there. Just
Okay.
go and bring all
Right.
because
So,
English.
folks, it's about 8 minutes to 9 o'clock. You're in GN Radio. And somebody was trying to call the line, but okay. So I've got Felix on the line as well. Chairman, your line until I'm able to pick Felix, I had to call you back because I've got Felix.
No problem, no problem. Say
All right.
good morning to him. I want to hear his views about it.
Okay. Felix, I know you were trying to call the landline and he's playing up as usual. So I make Chairman hold on so that I can get you live on air. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. First of all, do you find any problem with the fact that you don't seem to hear anything about Ghanaian officials or the government being concerned about evacuating our students from Ukraine?
Unfortunately, that the state of our country would not allow us to do a lot of these things, even if we have genuine legitimate reasons at the moment. First of all, we don't have enough resources, financial resources available to us. Over the last maybe few years, we've spent a lot of money in areas where we've not had any returns in terms of, investment returns, whether short-term, mid-term, or even long-term. That is, even if there is any long-term investments at all. Of course, somebody would say there's free education. The returns in education don't come immediate. It takes a long time, and sometimes they may not even come in the way you want it. Basically, we don't have enough cash. There is a little bit of cash because at least the president rents a
Yeah,
on a
Felix,
regular basis.
what I
So
don't
there is-
understand is, at least, there's one thing having the cash to be able to, do what it's required of you. And there's another thing, at least showing concern as to, even if you're going to get the support to do such initiatives.
I'm coming to that. Now, during the time of Nkrumah, a lot of people don't want to go back to Nkrumah because they think it's too far away, or maybe ideologically reasons they disagree with Nkrumah, or they don't even like the man personally, even though they've never met him. Certainly this generation. But during the time of Nkrumah, we had a very well-established, in fact, very fruitful relationship with the USSR at the time, and that's the reason most Ghanaians were educated there. In fact, most of the initial engineers, doctors, Chairman has noted, were educated in the USSR. In some cases, we paid very little money for their education. In some cases, there were scholarships that were free. They were educated,
Right.
their stipends were paid, and afterwards, in some cases after their education, they came back, and in some cases after their education, they didn't come back because at the time, Nkrumah's government didn't sign any agreement that compelled Ghanaians who were educated on Ghana government scholarship to come back to the country, as you will find in other countries. So we've always had very good relationship with them. And as I speak with you now, it seems like that relationship has not come to a cease or a closure. So there are still Ghanaian students studying in Ukraine. It's not only Ukraine. There are Ghanaian students not only studying in Ukraine, there are Ghanaian students even in Russia as we speak. The problem we have basically is this, that we will not be able to get into Ukraine even if we wish, because significant parts of Ukraine airspace is within Russian territory.
Okay.
Russian radar control territory, because the Russians have the capability to take over your airspace. They just have the military and engineering capacity to do that.
Okay.
And that's what they do. That's how their aircraft are kept safe airborne. So that we have to negotiate our way into these places, or otherwise Ghanaian students will have to be moved either to different parts of Ukraine that may not be seeing a bit of violence at the moment, and then have some arrangement to get them out of the country, and even if they wish to stay in that country, because majority of Ukrainians will still in the country anyway, as we find with most civil war situations. Majority of the people will stay in the country. Some will leave, but majority ends up staying. So we will have to find our way in that respect. Whether we have the financial resources to do that, I don't know. Secondly, we also have to find a way to know how many of these students are there on their own. In other words, were they financed by themselves and their parents, or were they financed by the state? And how many students wish to leave anyway? Because you have to remember that most students will go there. Somehow, maybe in some cases, they are in relationships. They have maybe wives who are Ukrainians or husbands who are Ukrainians, and they may not wish to leave. This is just a reality.
Right.
Of
You
now,
spoke.
Yeah,
let
go
me
ahead.
come in. Sorry, before you go on, let's justify your ideology about the
Yes,
fact that.
it's not my idea. I'm coming to the text that I sent because I don't think you did a credit to the text that I sent. Yeah, that analysis has been made that, or at least some of the analysis being made in the West is that Putin is responsible for this problem. Yes, of course, he is the one who started what happened over the last 5 days or so regarding the invasion of Ukraine. But you can't put the blame on entirely on him. Look, for people to understand this thing,
Okay.
you have to go back into history and you have to take the map of Europe into history, right?
Yeah.
And look at that. If you look at a country like Russia, that feels that it's now being surrounded by what looks like a hostile military alliance. Now, NATO can say all they want to say, or the proponents of NATO can say all what they want to say. Who do they exist for? It's a military alliance. It's not an alliance to grow daffodils and strawberries. What do they exist for?
Yeah.
They exist to counteract whoever they classify as their enemy. Who is their enemy?
Well.
Now, if you are a country such as Russia,
Okay.
Putin said that he discussed with Bill Clinton the possibility of Russia joining NATO. Clinton told him that no, you'll not be allowed to join NATO. Well, if somebody tells you that, and that's supposed to be a military alliance, what are the inferences you can make from that? It's not an economic alliance like the EU, where Morocco applied to be part of the EU, and Morocco were told, no, you can't be part of the EU because you are not an European country. You're an African country, so you cannot be part of the EU.
Right.
But if it's a military alliance and you are told that, and now you have countries on your borders, one after the other over the last 30 years, being made part of NATO, there is every reason for you to feel that you are now being surrounded. And immediately these things happen, military assets are moved into these countries.
Yeah.
Now, they are, just bear with me, they are now claiming, you can believe that that's right or wrong, but the Russians are now claiming that some of these military assets are now within 5 to 8 minutes flight of major Russian cities, St. Petersburg and Moscow. What does that really mean? What that means is that when you wake up and you go to your bathroom and you're having your shower, by the time you come out, a missile would have been fired from any of these points to hit any of your major cities. Now, NATO can say that we are a defensive alliance.
Okay.
They can say that. But the history does not justify that. They were the ones responsible for the destruction of Libya. It's because we as Africans, we don't have the means to fight back. We accept these things. We don't have the means technologically. We don't have the means financially. We don't have the means militarily. We don't have the means politically. We are completely clueless on this earth that we occupy. Or part of the earth that we are completely clueless, right? But for countries that are aware, and remember, Russia has been invaded by Napoleon Bonaparte through Ukraine. Germany invaded Russia through Ukraine between 1913 and 1919. Then in 1939 to 1945, once again, Russia was invaded through Ukraine. In all of this, at least if nothing at all, for the Second World War, Russia lost no less than 25 million people.
Oh, dear.
Right? Now, what that tells us is that the landscape of Ukraine makes it amenable to enter Russia, which is what has happened with Russia getting into Ukraine. They've easily moved their tanks and regiment units into Ukraine, which means that the landscape offers a perfect opportunity for any invasion. Now, remember, when Hitler was about to enter Russia, or when Germany decided to attack Russia in the Second World War, there were these sort of negotiations, talks, agreements that went on and on and on and on. Ultimately, Germany entered. Right? So if you have this history with you, you don't sit down and fold your arms.
No.
It's just like Africans as we have it now. If somebody comes to our shores and say, oh, well, I'm not going to put you into slavery, I'm not going to colonize you and give us a control over your parliament, we will say to that person, get lost. Because we have a history of being colonized. We all know what the consequences of that is. Right? So, look, I don't approve of what he's doing, but I don't know what my solutions will be if I'm being faced by a military alliance that has 3 major nuclear power houses in them, or three major countries with nuclear bomb capacity: France, the United Kingdom, and the United States.
Now, let me ask you this, Felix. I mean, the UK, all these powerful countries, unlike you, they've taken the entire blame on him for, especially all these massive destructions, especially that involve kids and all that. Well, it's good you don't subscribe and second this attitude, but you think the only best way is to do what he's doing? If you're in his shoes.
That, like I said to you, I don't know what I would do. But I am not leading a country of 170 million people. I'm not sitting down in Moscow thinking that nuclear weapons could be fired from any European country, NATO country, that could hit Moscow within 5 minutes or 8 minutes.
Now they're doing everything to, get hold of his banks and all these public amenities, and you think it's going to scare him away? It's going to stop him? It appears it makes him appear like a very stubborn person who doesn't just give a hoot.
You look. He takes the view, and I may be wrong, and I have never met Putin. I've never been to Russia. I don't know what he thinks, but look, Russia is not the only country that has suffered this level of sanctions, right? The Russians, for whatever the reason is, I don't know if people listen to them or not. Maybe in this part of the world, people have decided not to listen to them. But they have made these calculations that, look, when these Western countries impose sanctions on you, they are not going to lift the sanctions. And they always find excuses to impose more sanctions on you. And they've given a litany of examples. Cuba is one. Cuba has been under U.S. sanctions for close to about 70 years plus now, right?
Right.
North Korea is one. North Korea has been under U.S. sanctions from the 1950s till now, right? Even Venezuela has been under U.S. sanctions in the last 15 years, and that is going on. And what's the crime of Venezuela? The parties or the political interests that the United States support in Venezuela can't win elections. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Hugo Chavez was beating them in free and fair elections. They couldn't win elections. That's the reasons for the imposition of the sanctions. To the extent that a guy who went to stand in the middle of the street declares himself a president, which in any other country would be considered a treasonable offense. Now, assets that belong to Venezuela abroad has been frozen and been passed on over to this guy. The guy does not have control over the police. He doesn't have control over local government. He's not responsible for the administration of the country, but he is now the one who is entitled to have access to those resources, including $1 billion worth of gold that is now kept safe at the bank of the vault of the Bank of England. It doesn't end there. Iran has been under U.S. sanctions since the 1970s. What is the crime of Iran? Because at some point in time, the Iranians decided to vote for a liberal-minded president, and sometime in the 1960s, 1970s, his name has just escaped me. That leader was overthrown, and then the Shah of Iran was brought back. The Islamic Revolution took effect to overthrow the Shah of Iran, and ever since that time, hostility against Iran has been going till now. And the list is endless. Look, our own Gaddafi in Africa.
Right.
It was just bear with me. It was these agitations that started in the 80s under Reagan. He didn't stop there. Despite all the concessions Gaddafi gave, he didn't stop there. Ultimately, they went in and they killed him. In 2014 or so.
I'm only trying to link that between what is happening in Ukraine to that of Africa. Now, from this source of ITV News, it said over 24,000 raised for African and Caribbean students in Ukraine after claims of racism at border. Now, in its late story, they say students are struggling to get out of the Ukraine as war in the country reaches its fourth day. Now, the Russian invasion of Ukraine has seen missiles and bombs hit cities across the country, and the beginnings of an exodus as hundreds and thousands of Ukrainians leaves for other countries. I have seen one. I'm not sure of the sources, whether it was the social media about one particular African student who seems to be reporting about the fact that the Ukraine are being selective as to people they evacuate into safety. You must have seen it yourself, or if you haven't.
Yes, I have seen that. I don't think the Ukrainians they are blaming. I think they are blaming some of the neighboring countries regarding giving them access to their territories in terms of being a transit point for them to move on to wherever they want to go. Because some of these African students, apparently they've made their way to countries such as Poland, such as Romania,
the
but they have been
neighboring
refused
countries.
entry into some of these countries. And these countries are not their final destinations anyway. They just want to get out so they can then find any available flights or trains or whatever, and then move on to where possibly will be their final destination. Look, in the interim, we don't have a choice. We may just have to hire a private jet some way, somehow, to go to some of these neighboring countries and pick our nationals up. Whether we have diplomatic missions in some of these countries. Historically, we used to have well-resourced missions in countries such as Poland, Romania, what was then Czechoslovakia at the time, and Yugoslavia, and so on and so forth. So we may have to do something about that. Whether these people, obviously these are non-sovereign countries, and they may decide that they don't want African nationals in their country. You got to remember that even in the so-called West, there's always an underbelly of racism. And in some of these countries, these things are still there. Remember, black players who play for England, when they go to some of these countries, you hear all the monkey noises and all the rest of it. So please do not be surprised about whether there's some kind of discrimination in terms of who they allow into these countries, etc., etc., etc. But look, these issues bring forth to us the reality of the need for us to have some kind of integration or unity of some sort. Nkrumah talked about this. He saw the big picture way 70 or 80 years back. Nobody listened to him. But whether we like it or not, we are confronted by huge alliances, whether huge economic alliances, huge military alliances, huge geopolitical, strategic alliances, and we cannot fight, or not necessarily fight, but we cannot stand on our feet in these little enclaves of Togo, Benin, Ghana, South Sudan. We have no chance. Look, if you ask me what I should do, what is the biggest airline in Africa at the moment? Ethiopian Airlines. We may have to come to some agreement with them, pay them some money, if they have connecting route to some of these countries, such as Romania, such as Poland, such as the Slovak republics, the Slovak Republic, and so on and so forth. If we have to pay money, let's pay money and give them the option that, look, if any Ghanaian student shows up, insofar as they can give you some identification that they are Ghanaian, whether it's a birth certificate, whether it's a passport, whether it's any kind of, correspondence that has their details that indicates that they are Ghanaians, you can airlift them to maybe Addis, and then from Addis, we can, make an arrangement and help them to come back to Ghana. That one, if the Ethiopian Airlines is still flying to some of these countries, that gives us an option. If there are Ghanaian students there, you can let them know that this is the situation. Wherever you are, if you can get yourself to the maybe Romanian border, to the Polish border, Ethiopian Airlines is still flying to these places. We've made an arrangement with them. Show your details. They will airlift you to Addis. We'll pay the cost, and then we'll make an arrangement for you to get back to Ghana. If we don't have Ethiopian Airlines going over, because we certainly don't have our own airline. We don't have Ghana Airways. If we can't get a private jet to go there, maybe if
it's a shame,
South
man.
African Airways, if South African Airways is flying to some of these places, we can have an arrangement with them. I don't know what the situation is with Air Afrique, but if Air Afrique is also still in operation and is flying to some of these destinations, we can make an arrangement with them. When I was living in Ghana years ago, we used to have Aeroflot, which is a Russian national airline that used to fly to Ghana. If Aeroflot is still flying, and some of the students can travel eastwards into Russia, then maybe Aeroflot can then fly them from maybe Moscow or St. Petersburg to Ghana, and then we clear the payment because we don't have our own capacity in terms of our own Ghana Airways, where we can say, okay, this it and fly over to Bucharest or fly over to Budapest or fly over to Warsaw, and then you pick Ghanaian nationals and fly them to Ghana. We don't have that capacity yet because we made a mess of our own airline. But the airlines that are in Africa that have the capacity, Ethiopian Airlines, South African Airways, Air Afrique if it's still in operations, and then whether we like it or not, we may have to accept that some people will also move the other way, which is that they will move
Felix,
Russia.
let me come in here. Now, you from all you've been telling me, it's as if we sort of handicapped in this area of the question because of the outlines you giving me. What I'm talking about is that concern that, look, these are people, students in such, mess in Ukraine. And as far as I've watched, I've done a few research through till now when it all kicked off, until now. What I was expecting especially our defense secretary, our defense security, Kendapa, and all these people who seems to be in this position pertinent to foreign students and people living abroad and all that. I haven't got a single person that shows that immense concern of Ghanaians in Ukraine. This is what I'm talking about. Now, I understand perfectly with all these logistics you're putting in place, air flights and things like that. I don't think if it's UK, such a developed country, and its people in such, caught up in these war, would ensure that. I don't know if you get my point. I understand you perfectly, but that I'm not seeing that. That is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you are not saying that because we don't have the resources. We are broke. That is the point. I mean,
yeah. Let me give you an example. Let's take it: a mother or a father or who has its sick or his child is not feeling very well. I mean, even if you don't have money, probably you're going to look for means. If it's to borrow, if it's to get to somebody say, "Look, help me, my child is sick" or something. All I've seen Ghanaian officials is just sitting down
because they don't have the means. Look, let me give you a typical example. Assuming that Ghana Airways had about 20 jets flying forward, with maybe 10 of the 20 with regular flights into Europe. In other words, these are long-haul aircraft. We will be able, the Minister of State could easily, speak with the Russian or the Ukrainian mission in Ghana, or maybe even in London, and say to them that, look, we have our students who have been studying in your country. We would like to airlift them out of the country. Can we have some sort of arrangement? And then, because the way the situation is, you will need some kind of clearance which would allow for your aircraft to land. Because an aircraft without any consent with the parties involved can't land in a country. You can't just fly your aircraft and land in another country without some kind of agreement. But we don't have the capacity. We don't have the only aircraft we have is one presidential jet, right, as a country. We don't have any more. We also don't have Ghanaian businesses that have gone into the airline industry where they've bought their own aircraft that are in the numbers you so require for this level of airlift of nationals. We don't have that. These European countries, such as France, such as the UK may not have a national airline as an airline owned by the state, but they still do have British Airways and privately owned businesses that are into that sort of industry, and they have the aircrafts available. So it's just a matter of, talking to the other country where you have to do the airlift from, and then even if you have to pay for the private company to go ahead and do the airlifting for you. We don't have that. We don't have that capacity. Ethiopia, despite all the problems it's had over the years, they have that capacity. So the Ethiopian Prime Minister, Abiy, whatever you think of him, can instruct Ethiopian Airways, go and airlift Ethiopian students who are studying in Ukraine. And all they have to do is change the rota for one aircraft or two aircraft or even more if they need. And then they will fly and go and land at an agreed airport, get their nationals and fly them out of the country.
I just opened
don't have that capacity.
Yeah, I just opened another page. That's a Ukraine and Russia war 2022. Reason Ghana stand with Ukraine under Russia invasion. Ghana say them they stand with UK after Russian invasion. The UN rep declared on Friday, Harold Ajiman, Ghana permanent representative to the United Nations Security Council, say what I am country support their sovereignty and territorial integrity. According to Ajiman, the development they worry. The developments which they happen first, Ukraine they worry. Now he talks I don't know why he's trying to put in whether it's a quote statement. Is according to Ajiman, the development they worry. The developments which they happen first, Ukraine they worry. He talks this situation gets implication not for just Ukraine, them the immediately neighbors, but the countries, blah blah blah. All I see is Ghanaians seems to be concerned. Yes, as I said, with the caption of Akufo-Addo himself in front of that bit I just read to you. But I wish I wish I could see, like you're saying, that we don't have any option. It looks as if we have our own problems to solve internally, let alone go beyond borders and look at people's problem. But the thing is, we have our citizen and the nationals in that country, you know. So yeah, go on. I caught you that because I was trying to get a page and see if there's any idea of trying to get into Ukraine and to see if you can evacuate our nationals. That's all I was trying to
Look,
say.
and at the end of the day, it comes down to resource. I may just have to say that it has happened. It has happened at an unfortunate time for our country.
I think what you don't get is the fact that I'm trying to look at if you don't have the resource, you're just going to fold your arms because
No. Folding of our arms is not an option. Maybe somebody has to squeeze something out of something, but I don't know where they're going to squeeze something from. Because I don't know whether you were following some of the statements that were coming from our own country sometime last week, where they are indicating that they may struggle to pay wages if something doesn't happen between now and end of March.
Is it the one that involves likely that the transportation fares is going to go up and that?
Yes.
I've read that, yeah.
And unfortunately, even though they claim we are a net producer of oil, it is not actually true because more than three-quarters of the oil that we produce, because of some very silly agreements we signed, is not ours. It belongs to those foreign companies or foreign interests that rest in our country. So even when oil prices go up, we don't really benefit that much because we are still heavily dependent on the importation of refined crude. So I don't really see where extra resources are going to come in from. And as you probably do know, most parts of the world now are going through, most parts of the world now is going through what they now describe as cost of living crisis. So everything is shooting up, and what that also means is that government expenditure will be shooting up. Now, whether government will get enough revenue,
you nail it right on the head. You nail it right on the head. As
Yeah.
countries around the globe get increasingly concerned about the rising tensions in Russia and Ukraine, President, listen to what...
Remember, they have now effectively told a country that produces about 11 million barrels of oil a day that we're not gonna allow you access to the international banking system.
You see, this is why I had wanted to see the fact that we have what has to be the catastrophe facing us. You know, the countries, look at what it says, as countries around the globe get increasingly concerned about rising tensions in Russia and Ukraine, President Nana Akufo-Addo has spoken about how the effect could trickle down to affect Ghana's economy. So at least we know the consequences and how we're going to be affected.
Well, the consequences are already there, and they are coming down thick and sharp. I mean, I live in a city that is largely fueled by, oil. I mean, the biggest economy here is people who work in the oil and gas industry, and oil prices going through the roof. It's something that most people feel it. I mean, if obviously we're living through winter, so a lot of people are having to switch on their heating, and people are beginning to see their heating bills going up and up and up. But it doesn't end there, and it doesn't end there because we as a country, our production capacity has significantly decreased, so we are effectively an import-dependent country. And what that means is that all the costs that people incur abroad producing things that we go and buy, they will pass that on over to us. So we have a double whammy, right? We have a double whammy. Since we are not an export-driven economy, we are an import-driven economy, we will now have to pay more for our supplies. But it doesn't end there. If you block a country that produces about 11 million barrels of oil onto the international market, you block them from using the international banking system. Effectively, what you are telling them is that they're going to have difficulty selling their oil because they can only sell oil to people where they can get their money back. And if they don't know how they're going to get their money back, at least in the interim, it's going to affect the supply of these 11 million of barrels of oil onto the international market. That also has significant consequences. It's going to even shoot up the price. And I'm not the one to listen to what the European Union itself is saying. They are saying that Europeans will have to accept that they're going to incur some sacrifices. What they are basically telling you is that the cost of living is going to go up. And look, this is not going to end there. It's also going to affect supply chains because whether we like it or not, the trucks you see on your roads going up and down at the moment are not being powered by electric batteries. They are powered by oil, crude oil refined products, diesel, petrol, gas, and all that kind of stuff, right? So these things, at some point in time, if this situation, this crisis in Ukraine and Russia doesn't come to an end, will also affect the supply chain that has already been affected by COVID, and in the case of UK, coming out of the European Union or Brexit. So look, Ghana will pay a price for it if we are not already paying for that. On top of our own, shall we say, mismanagement of our finances over the last few years, having invested significant chunks of our resources into places that are not productive or may not be giving us returns at the moment. What I would say to end this is that we as Africans have to start learning from this. If we think we can start on our own as separate little entities, that there's no future for us. If we haven't learned over the last 70 years, it's time for us to learn that. Secondly, I would like to think that there are people at the finance ministry in Ghana, people at the intelligence units in Ghana, people at the within government, not only, and I mean government here, I don't mean the people who are running the country, but I mean the government and the opposition. Somebody has to sit down and ask yourself, should we be put under this sort of sanctions? That is, if you are closed out of SWIFT, if you are closed out of territorial, the airspace of Europe, if you are closed out of the international banking system, how are we as a country going to survive? Because remember, I've mentioned a number of countries that are living with this sort of situation already. We have to work out all these models and find a way. How do we survive if somebody decides that international money transfers are going to be limited or are going to be stopped from going to a country like Ghana, either because maybe we get a leader in the future who decides that it's about time Ghanaians get all the benefits from the exploitation of their resources, because that is what has led to other countries in Africa being invaded and sometimes having their leaders being killed, right? Dear. And at some point in time, we will have to make that decision that we have had to live with poverty for such a long time. It's about time these foreign interests will come and take over our resources, left us alone, and then we benefit from those resources. And when we do that, we should expect that there will be a response, just like there was a response in Libya, just like there has been a response in Venezuela, and just like there is such a response on Iran as we live. And if that happens, you have to ask yourself, how are we going to survive without access to international financial system, such as borrowing, EU Euro bonds and stuff like that, access to international trading systems? How do we survive when we get to that stage? And I would like to think that somebody should be thinking strategically in the future, because we cannot live with this situation where big powers come and take our resources, our people continue to live in poverty, and then fold our arms because we are scared big countries will come at us.
All right, Felix, thank you very much. I'll leave you to get some water to drink, but I get you when I need you. Going to go to other matters, especially in Africa, and then look at some of these problems going on. Okay, so that was Felix, overview or his general ideology about how he sees the reaction of Putin. A lot of people in neighboring countries, the whole NATO would see Putin as a very stubborn president who does not seems to yield to advice and look at the best way to solve this problem and rather escalating it. I'm going to take a few commercials and then I'll come back and then let's talk about cervical screening campaign in London. Did you know that 2 women die every day of cervical cancer in England? Yet it's one of the most preventable cancers. And cervical screening can help stop cancer before it starts. Screening only lasts a few minutes, and depending on your age, you only have to go every 3 or 5 years. If you want to make sure a female nurse carries out your screening, ask for this when you make your appointment. Don't ignore your invite letter. If you miss your last cervical screening, look for an appointment at your GP practice now. Do encourage those you love to get the screening. Cervical screening saves lives. Now, to find more, visit nhs.uk/cervical screening. Now, COVID-19 is still highly infectious, so if you've not already had your vaccines or booster, it's not too late to book. Now, we now know that people who have not already had the vaccines are 8 times more likely to be hospitalized than those who are fully vaccinated. Now, getting a booster on top of 2 vaccination jabs further increases your protection against serious COVID-19 symptoms to over 88%. And you can get your booster vaccine 12 weeks after your second dose. And then finally, to keep everyone safe, encourage friends and family who have not been vaccinated to book now or visit a walk-in center. It is easy. Now, to protect yourself, friends and family, get your COVID-19 vaccine booster today. Visit the website nhs.uk to book your jab appointment, or for more information, visit this website. Okay, a lot of people are thinking about traveling plans this year. Now, make sure that you and your family get protected before you go. You can still get your free vaccinations and boosters from the NHS. Now, many countries now require you to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 before entry, but things do change. So it's important to check and see the travel advice on the government's website. This will not give you the advice on what test you'll need to have before you come. But to the best way to protect yourself, friends and family, is still to get your COVID-19 vaccine or booster today. Visit nhs.uk/book your appointment. End of announcement. Okay, so as I said, we earlier talked about, my problem is not the fact that Ghanaians don't have the resources or the logistical support, as Felix put it. But then I had wanted to see the Ghanaians' concern, especially when we all admit that's going to affect our economy later on. It's about 9:30. You're still on GN Radio. This is Dr. Morton. I'll come back shortly to you. Later on, I'm going to get Chairman again if you're still online. But if you're available, you want to call, let's discuss about this, how it affects the country. And, if you have any means you think the government should do something about Ghanaian brothers and sisters. Especially when the African students, are making a public outcry about the fact that they've been deprived of the safety evacuation, unlike some other Ukrainians and apart from African students in that country.
Yes, Eric. Hello.
Hello, Chairman. Welcome back to the program.
All right, thank you.
So you had Felix. I'm sure you must have tackled certain areas, but my focus this morning is about the link between our Ghanaian students and the entire Ukraine war that seems to have started, which a lot of people see putting to be the main cause, if not. Apart from Felix, who broke it down that he has no option than to fight back, whether or not he's seen as somebody who's interested in war. Do you see Putin as somebody who is not cooperating with the means to bring down this effect?
You see, the fact is that The fact is that Ghana government is aware of, it's got records of every individual Ghanaian studying there in Ukraine. The ministry, go to the foreign ministry and all that, embassies around, they know the students who are there. Every year, they give scholarship to students to go. They are all MPP students, people. No problem, they are Ghanaians. They are all their own MPP children who are going to be probably smashed by these Ukrainian Russian authorities if we are not careful. Simple thing to do for Nana Akufo-Addo and MPP administration. Now, what I'm saying is that they must hire the same jet now, what they call for, just take it there and bring our people. Simple, common sense. Ghana Nibia and Yasa Wuni Trimu. Obakasa Kitiosan saying the right thing. Just take the jet there. Not to Canada with girlfriends or hoops now. Yeah, we are not interested. Just take the same jet, you cheer £14,000 an hour. Let the pilot go straight away and bring Ghanaians there. They will, because at a point, it's said about the Polish border, the plane will go there. I'm not saying the plane must go inside Ukraine. That would be suicide. They can even bomb them. But pure common sense tells us that I would rather go to a friendly country, which is that point in Poland that shares a border with Ukraine. And make sure not even the exact border, but come inside a bit, just in case. Then Ghanaians will come on, and if there's more space, then you take other African students in there. Because if the English or British students are, no problem. The British government will go and bring them. We are not worried about Abrofono. We are worried about our own Ghanaians, number one. And number two, other Africans. Put them on the plane to come. Then we see a real president and a real government that is in place. They are not taking, he's not taking any of these chances. All the MPPs interested in 2024, to hell with them. They are not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, but
2024 election,
Chairman, it's not as if they are not interested. Yeah. Now, I've read a few articles that says the president seems to be much concerned about the fact that what's going on is going to affect our economy. But I think the human lives comes first, apart from the economy.
Yes, because for them, the MPP students who are in Germany,
no, they are not
US,
MPP students. They are Ghanaian students. They are not MPP students. They are Ghanaian students.
They drop the low-level students in places like Ukraine. Yeah. And the other side is they are in, so most of them are in the UK, in Canada, and other English-speaking countries. That's why they don't care. If their own children are in Ukraine, the plane will go there. And I don't know what facility for one Ukraine. I go to plane will go. Other poor Ghanaians, they don't care. They just think they are throwing them away. Otherwise, they go to key places. Kennedy Japan ask him, he will tell you. They are all mostly in Canada, mostly in USA, mostly in United Kingdom and Germany. And it's not right. And we are watching this. We keep saying 4 more for Nana. 4 more for what? 4 more for Nana. This is what we are seeing. I want Segabo to come on and face this challenge.
Segabo must
go and tell Nana Akufo-Addo to bring the people. Segabo knows what I'm saying is true. That's why he's quiet. That's why he's not coming on the radio this morning. Maybe he's not well. But if he's well, he should come and answer this question, say Gabo. Because people, they fear to come, they are scared to come on GN radio. It's only say Gabo that comes. But I want him to come today and so that we hear what he says. Because we don't want to be funny.
Now, Chairman, let me ask you this very simple question. Should you be in power? Let's not hope this bad incident, comes in, but, your party, PPP, Wasorampa is in power. In such situation, how are you going to confront it?
I would directly say do exactly what I'm saying. We would take.
I don't know what you say. I don't know how you're going to do
immediate steps to go to the Polish embassy in Asylum Down or somewhere in Accra to really activate the solution from there. Go to the nearest high embassy. That's why we have embassies all over the world.
Yeah.
Go there and make sure that the Polish government accepts Ghanaian students. Put them in a hotel, a comfortable place inside Poland, and we will take a plane there to go and bring them out. Because when war takes place, and that's the only way out, you don't go to the war front. But the nearest safer place would be Poland. That shares a border with Ukraine, if I'm correct. Just get our people there. Our people should even walk there as the Ukrainians are walking. Some are walking. You say, Ghanaian students, please walk into Poland or walk into the nearest place that the Ghana government will tell you. Then that's simple. We don't want a bomb to drop on them. You kill them like dogs. We don't want that, because what Mr. Putin is doing, it's not correct. We will address that later on. I'm writing a piece about that. Mr. Putin wants to recreate USSR. I believe most people listening don't understand, but I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And I believe Sir Gabo understand what I'm talking about. All Mr. Putin is doing is the recreation of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics again, because they shouldn't have disintegrated. Now that he wants to bring them back, so that they become a valid force against the world powers of the United States of America. And this is the place where Kwame Nkrumah tried to bring Khrushchev of Russia and Mr. Kennedy of the United States of America together because of the Cold War. They were nearly going to fight. And Nkrumah was the mediator. Nkrumah na okasa na omitie Kennedy and Nikita Khrushchev. People who don't know history must now listen to what I'm saying. So they say, Nkrumah bring the two Ks together. That was in a daily graphic in Accra. Daily graphic, if you got proper records now, what I've given, this caption I've given to you, you will see it. Osayufo brings the two Ks together. That is, one K is President Kennedy, and the other K is President Nikita Khrushchev. KK, Kwame Nkrumah brought the two Ks together. That's how great that man was. Do you understand? So please, Dr. Morton, I trust you. You are in a powerful position now. Get in touch with the Ghana government in Flagstaff House or Jubilee House, just to do what Kitty Olsen is saying. Go to the embassy, Polish embassy in Asalam Down, or God knows, Usu or wherever, to please plead with Ghanaians, with them to accept Ghanaians. They can walk by foot to that place, but our plane will be there to pick them. The jet, and the Kufadu jet, Uncle for more. After they are bread MPP for power. This is the greatest test of their lives. If Nana Goose is able to do that, I will vote for MPP. That's just a gabo. I will vote for MPP.
Okay, I don't know if you're the one who wrote this. It's, why don't we stick to getting Ghanaians out of Ukraine? On my Facebook page, are you the one who wrote this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's get them out, because this is war, Dr. Morton. It is war. We don't want to be to shoot at people. In fact, after that, I must tackle the African Union. That is also created by Kwame Nkrumah. I must tackle the African Union.
You feel let down by the African Union?
Say it again.
You feel let down by the African Union?
Oh, yeah, they don't know what they are doing. They're also disappointing. MPP is disappointing in Ghana. African Union is also disappointing in Africa. We got African students there. Africans, we like cheap things. That's why we're taking cheap scholarship to the Soviet, that Eastern Bloc. That's fine. We didn't take any. When students come into Western countries, they were expensive one. But then the cheap in only Ukraine.
Yeah, but
you
don't have a choice, yeah.
Say it again.
You don't have a choice. At least you have scholarship. That's the bottom line,
Yeah,
whether it's to the Western countries or not.
Yeah, in Methodist hymn book, we have a Pilgrim's Progress. It says, "He that is down needs fear no fall." Those that the cheapest or the poor Ghanaians, no places like Ukraine, no. But the expensive ones, but Western countries, that is fine. That's why our poor people, we don't want them to be crushed to death.
No.
So they come out as good doctors and engineers, but MPP for women Almost yes, yeah. And people quite an war and Ghana plane a coho jet. If the student there, all MPP children only. So what Johnny Jet who have been there to go and pick them up.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Chairman. Thank you very much. I've got Joe calling. Let me look at his view of Ghanaians in foreign country that are caught up in this war. I'll bring
Say
you back.
hello to Joe.
Okay.
I'll be interested in what he has to say.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so we're still on the evacuation of Ghanaians abroad. But what is happening? I'm going to get Joe, my brother, who's also on the line. And then we'll be talking to him and look at his view. Right, so my concern, as I said, has been the fact that Felix gave us the impression that we don't have a choice because of some logistical support about flight problems and the fact that we don't have means of evacuating our people. Chairman Yosen is also talking about the fact that, you know, the government does not care about its people, just like we had earlier last week about Nigerians trying to evacuate its people from Ukraine that are caught up in this. Apart from the social media reports I had about one student complaining about the fact that, you know, the students in Ukraine are being deprived of means of evacuation, unlike its citizen. Right, I've got Joe. Joe is an Nkrumahist, some sort of a CPP sympathizer. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Doc.
How are you?
Yeah, we are managing by God's grace.
Thank you very much. How was the family, your little daughter?
Oh, she's all right.
Okay. Right, this morning...
She's coming to be the next president of Ghana.
Okay. Okay, no problem. First of all, do you see the country's concern about its citizens or its nationals in Ukraine, that they're really concerned about what they caught up in?
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. And regards and greetings to Mr. Kitty-Yotin and whoever is on there, especially also to Mr. Gabo. We have our differences, but we are Ghanaians, you know, so that's very important. I would want to start from where Mr. Kitty-Yotin ended. And you see, he made mention of the fact that if Akufo-Addo or our president is able to airlift Ghanaians or even to, you know, intervene in the situation for Ghanaian students in Ukraine to have a proper, you know, place to hide or to live, he would even vote for the MPP. And I think it's a very good call. And I think he's not even asking much. The role of a president or the role of every government is to make sure that the safety of its people is first of all, its utmost priority. And so airlifting or putting Ghanaians in a safe place in Ukraine it should be the biggest priority of the president at this moment. I think you posed the question of they being concerned because it is going to affect the economy. Whatever is happening is going to affect our Ghanaian economy. But then the question is, do we even have an economy today?
Well, at least we have a bad economy. At least we have a bad economy.
Yeah, at this moment there is no economy to save. So are they telling us that look, because of what is I understand that if it escalates, it's going to have an impact on our economy. But are you Nanado at one point you make popular statements? It is better to save people's lives than saving the economy, because with the economy you can bring them back. And then the next thing is that you are not concerned about the people there, but you are talking about saving the economy and all that. I mean, you don't even know where he stands. And at this moment, this is the moment of renting a private jet to at least secure the safety of Ghanaians. This is the moment, if the president was sensitive enough to send a private jet that he has been renting with Sewa Bruni to Ukraine to kind of save Ghanaians there. I mean, it's so absurd. I mean, it's so absurd that
a private jet will not evacuate all these number of people.
Yeah, but at least make an effort.
This is what I was saying. This is what I mean. Yes, that's. I agree with you. Yeah.
Even Britain has not been able to airlift all its people that are British in Ukraine. Even in Afghanistan, there are still Americans and British there. There's no perfection in this world. Nothing is perfect. But at least they seem to be doing something. That's why there is a saying that better late than never.
Mm.
You see, there is an iota of greatness in that statement. So if we see our president, in that how do you call it?
Lackadaisical.
Good. Thanks for that's why you are from Presec. So if we see the president in that attitude, in that mood, and all he finds is executive comfort, the executive luxury, then it's very unsafe for us, because these people, they probably somewhere even there on the scholarship of Ghanaian government. If you send people there and you neglect them like that, well, then why in the first place do you even give them the scholarship if they are of no importance to you? We need to find importance in their being there, and the need to kind of save their lives, because they can also contribute. Nanado, if it wasn't for Ghana, that everything from Abrochire is from heaven, and Nanado wouldn't be president. But because he came from Britain with some borrowed language, he became an Ghanaian.
Yeah, but Rawlings, some voted for Rawlings because people thought he was his color reason. People voted for Rawlings. It'll shock you what people base on. What I'm saying, it'll shock you based on what people chose their leaders. Some people voted for Rawlings because he was such a handsome man. As though you can pardon Akufo-Addo with this language.
That's a petty kind of
grounds.
Opinion. It's very rampant.
Yeah.
I mean, people will go and vote for Alanche Mantin because of your 10 gram or your day. Someone will vote for Akufo-Addo because Akufo-Addo was able for Wakosku of Britain. So the same thing can apply to these people in UK. Maybe I might vote for one of them if they, tomorrow they contest to be president, because probably they can speak a little bit of Ukrainian language.
Yeah.
Or the fact that they've had education in Ukraine, I might vote for them. So we need to save their lives, just as Kwame Nkrumah made room for Nanado to become president today. He also has to make room for other Ghanaian children to also have that opportunity. I've always said, look, given the chance, if Barack Obama, was in Africa, even to become a bus driver would have been a very big problem. But America has given hope. You see, that is the level we need to be thinking. That is the level we need to be, providing for our people. And then on AU, Mr. Kitiosin made a comment on AU. You see, I have always said, and Kofi Ali has always disagreed with me, but I have always said the AU is the most useless organization on earth. Not in Africa, but the most useless organization. Now, the issue of Afghanistan came. We saw what happened, how the West, were ready to embrace Afghanis, and now their national flag changed to Afghan flag and all that. We've seen Ukraine. All of a sudden, yesterday, Boris Johnson was in Ukrainian church, promising hell for everybody, promising heaven for everyone.
Okay.
That if you are, even if you hold indefinite or whatever, you are in this UK,
right,
and you have a family member, you don't need a visa for your Ukrainian family member to come. What happened to Sierra Leone? What happened to Liberia? What happened to African countries when they were? Did we see UK saying we will give them free entry to UK? Did we say the UK saying that every Sierra Leonean or every Liberian who is here, your family member in Liberia, you can go and bring them? Or there's, you see, that is the hypocrisy of the West. And African Union, Africa has been the feeding ground of the West. But yet, even the Commonwealth, you see, EU was formed just 2-3 years ago, and then people from EU can come here without visa and all that. Commonwealth, to come from Africa, Ghana, a member of the Commonwealth, to come to UK here, you see the treatment they mete out to you. Because African Union is not strong to bite.
Yeah.
Why can't we put down measures that, look, the treatment you are giving to white colored people is different from the treatment you are giving to Africans. You made your wealth from Africa. And for that matter, if anything happens to Africa, the same treatment that is meted out to the people of Afghanistan, the people of Ukraine, make the same treatment to Africans. UK and France went to destabilize Libya. Yes, how many Libyans are here? When did UK send aircraft aircraft to Libya to evacuate people to UK, to give them permanent residency. The hypocrisy of the West is too much, and it is too much because the AU is as useless as anything. And I think you shouldn't blame the AU too much, because when you have useless leaders, how do they form a useful organization? Since when have you seen useless leaders forming a useful organization?
Honestly, you're very right on that. But to be honest, what the incident happened in Ukraine now, I hardly hear the name of EU anyway. It's just recently, as we talking about what's happening in Ukraine, that reminds me, as Chairman raised the issue of how do you call it, EU, African Union or AU. But do we see its responsibility that much in this? Because we had expected them to, at least to hear something from them. I'm sure if Kofi Ali is listening, you'll be talking about the ECOWAS and that sort of thing. Apart from them, can individual leaders who are concerned about the nationals beyond borders or in foreign countries, the welfare as well, as I keep fuming about Ghanaian leaders, about the fact that they only talk about the economy, but the human lives, and the fact that they caught up in war, any of them could lose their lives, or in the shootings and the bombings and the rest of that.
Yeah, individually we can do our bit, but you see, they say strength lies in unity. Now, I've seen a video this morning where some African, I wouldn't say Ghanaians, I will label them as Africans, were trying to enter Poland and they were refused entry. Now, assuming the AU came
I've seen it, yeah.
And issued a statement to the Polish government. Now, look, our people are being denied entry into your country, and now we are issued this statement as a collective organization. If you are not giving our people passage to your country, then be warned. You see, that would sound more heavier for the Polish government to kind of engage with than when Akufo-Addo alone, making a statement, because then they don't say, Ghana, what do we get from Ghana for them to be, kind of issuing threats or issuing statements to us.
Yeah.
You see, so the AU has a big role to play. On the other hand, if you think when Africans, if assuming even it is only Ghanaians alone who are stuck in Ukraine, and they are not a border to the AU, then why in the first place do we need AU? Why in the first place do we need Ghanaians to even be part of the AU? Because you are not bothered about us. You are not bothered about us. A union, every union, I believe, every union you engage yourself in, is for the benefit, is to share a one benefit as members of that union. It is not for the union to exist as a union in namesake. It is there as a point of contact for all and every member to gain benefit. So if the AU is reluctant, if the AU is unwilling to act because they don't see it as somebody from AU who is stuck in Ukraine, then it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I don't think any black man stuck in Ukraine is labeled as AU national. It is a member of it. That person is from a country which is a member of the AU. So they need to sit up and act. But then, of course, it is about who has the balls to even call for a meeting. I have always said, I don't know if you have followed my conversation, I have always said, even when people, Africans, die on the Mediterranean Sea, it has to take the EU countries to talk. You see AU people going for meetings and having teas and having big sandwiches and eating them. You don't hear any African Union summoning an emergency meeting to know what is the cause of Africans dying on the Mediterranean Sea. Why Africans are dying on the Mediterranean? They don't see anything.
No.
They don't see anything. You see, and as a matter of fact, we Africans, we need to rise up against our leaders. I have always said, and I will quote this again, if your government cannot guarantee you justice, don't guarantee that government peace. We need to stand up.
Okay.
We have been used so many times. In this country, we see, no matter how you describe Boris Johnson, his people are enjoying. No matter how you describe Putin, his people are enjoying. But how about Akufo-Addo? He is rather enjoying. He is renting private jets in the sky, and the people cannot even afford water to drink. What kind of leadership is that?
It's a shame.
So nobody hates any leader. Nobody. I don't hate Akufo-Addo. I like him. He's my president. I'm proud to go out there. And you see, one of my lecturers at university, knows Akufo-Addo very well. He knows Akufo-Addo. So I am proud when I go and we are talking about Akufo-Addo and he's also saying something. I am proud as a Ghanaian. But his uselessness, I will not hide from saying it. I will always say it because I want him to be the best. If we had the best system in place, who will be in this cold weather? Every day is raining. You can't even wear your nice clothes.
Oh, dear.
You always have to wear jackets and all that. Nobody wants to be here.
Right, so my time is up, Joe. I'm almost there.
I know your time is up.
Yes,
so
it's 10 o'clock.
And the lights, please, when we are making noise, nobody has hatred for anybody. For me, I have said, probably I will gain more in the NPP than maybe say Gabo. Because look, Alan Chamante is my wife's uncle.
Wow.
My father, Mr. Kingsley J. He did research for Alan Chamante. If you get Alan Chamante on the line now, ask him if you know a certain Dr. Kingsley J. He will tell you. So probably I will benefit more in the NPP than someone who thinks he's an NPP member. But that does not, debar me from, criticizing the government when it's wrong.
Okay, let me see who's on the other line.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Morning. How are you, Dr. Morton?
Oh, Mr. Kofi Ali.
This is Kofi Ali.
I have been looking for you very much pertinent to this particular issue. The good thing is the whole of today we've not spoken one bit of tree. It's always been English, and I'm sure you're very proud of that.
Thank you.
Well, ECOWAS, I mean, you've seen what is going on in Ukraine.
Everybody saw it.
Right. What is your thing? You sent me a message about, they targeting Ghanaians over what they tweeted or something. Your view, general view on that, please.
First and foremost, I think we need to understand that the world changes, and when the world changes, we have to change. But when we remain the way we are, nationalism based on ethnicity, and everything you say, people cannot even think, but the only thing they know is Ghana, then we have a serious problem. And when they are not talking about Ghana, they'll be shouting Africa, 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 Africa. Africa what? See, all this issue we have before us, you understand, is all about global international politics. And what is going on in Ukraine? If anyone is thinking seriously, you will notice that, right? It's all about technological warfare.
Mr. Kofi Ali, really, really sorry. To be honest, I thought we're going to go beyond 10 o'clock. I'm just signaled I've got lawyers in. But tomorrow, we're going to talk about this particular issue. Even if you can come to the studio or on the phone, any of these options is fine. I have to go, unfortunately.
If you can send me the address of the studio.
Yes, I'll send you the address.
This is a whole issue we need to take our time and discuss.
This one, I'm going to need you one-on-one to talk about this tomorrow.
Honestly.
Yes.
And I'll explain things in details that everybody will see what we are getting wrong.
Okay.
It's not about Ukraine, it's about us.
Okay, sir. Let me leave you for tomorrow, and I'll be expecting you tomorrow.
Send the details to me, and you'll see me there. Thank you,
sir. Okay, so our time is up for the lawyers. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.